It ain't, right? It ain't. It ain't. I don't think it is. I would say it ain't. But we're gonna dive into all of it here on the DLLS Rangers podcast. Jeff joins us in just a minute. We're gonna go through the process with him. We do want to remind you right off the top here, as it's John Radigan here in Texas with you on a beautiful day, and Kat, of course, is here too, and she's the one going to push the button to show you what you can still buy. Yeah, how about that? These beautiful new hats. Our ALLCITY headwear is expanding, and you want to go to store.allcitynetwork.com to get one of these great looking hats. It's likely that they will sell out. In fact, the skipper, Ben, told us, get ours quickly because if they're sold out, even we can't buy them. So I would encourage you to do that sooner rather than later. Be a great Christmas gift for somebody, even for yourself. So we've got lots coming up today. Here comes Jeff. Let's see. We're gonna cross our fingers and our toes. Jeff, can you hear us?
Yes.
Oh, I thought you were doing sign language to me. All right. And I hear you and you hear me. The world is good. We've got a lot to talk about. The Rule 5 draft happened today. The Rangers end up with a pitcher in that. We'll talk about it. And, of course, there's all kinds of news, big contracts, big signings, and so forth coming out of the winter meetings today, where Jeff is there in Orlando, or I guess technically Lake Buena Vista, Florida, in the Orlando area. And Jeff, but first, let's start with this news. And last night, it was all over the social medias about the Rangers and the Red Sox engaging in contract or in trade talks about Corey Seager, which I think normally everybody would have summarily gone, stop it. But we just had a Marcus Semien trade, so you put a little veracity into it. But I know you've done some checking, and we can officially say it ain't so, right?
Yes, and we finally, it was dismissed earlier today, and then we talked to Chris Young and Ross Fenstermaker moments ago, and they said that basically the way I laid it out, every team checks in on every player.
Right.
So Chris Young said every team wants great players, and so yeah. The Red Sox said, hey, how about Corey Seager? And the Rangers quickly said, hey, how about you guys hit the bricks? It was not ever going to happen. The Rangers, as Chris Young said, the Rangers have intentions of winning the World Series this year. They have intentions of competing. And to do that, well, you got to have great players. And Corey Seager is their greatest player. So they don't have any intentions of trading him. They're not looking to move him. I believe that was the exact quote. I got it right here. Let's see what my scribble says. We're trying to win a championship in 26. So you have to have great players. The reality is we are not motivated to move Corey Seager. So there you go.
Yeah. And look, I can't even imagine the package of players, which would certainly include, obviously, the best prospects in anyone's organization, as well as some major league talent, right? I mean, Corey Seager, is an MVP candidate year in and year out. Now, last year, he didn't enter into that fray because of some injuries, and he didn't play as much as normal. But any year still, he's in his prime. He's still a player who can play at an MVP level. This is one of the best talents, and it's not just offensive, although his offensive talents are unbelievable, but he's one of the best talents in the game today.
100%. I mean, when it comes to just straight hitting, the guy's a machine. But he has to be healthy, and so I think they have to figure out a way to keep him on the field more than 102 games. And I think that's the ultimate goal. But also, I think they're kind of, conditioned maybe to saying, hey, Corey Seager, we're not going to be with him for a couple of weeks a year, and so they kind of go in knowing that. But when he's healthy, there are very few who are better at purely hitting the baseball and hitting it hard.
Yeah, and I just see in the chat the skipper who's there with you, said he's been talking to some other GMs about trading you. Let me just say, I will block that trade. I've got the 10-5 power, right, and all that, Jeff. I think I might have 25 power and all that. So I'll make sure that trade that gets blocked.
Oh well, thank you. That's nice. Yeah, I don't want to go to Philly or Chicago or
I
any of
don't
our
care
other
what
markets.
the skipper's trying to do over there. So no, and you had a thought too that we talked about, and it's in the rundown a little bit about the idea that, because we do hear a lot of noise about the Red Sox and Ketel Marte, right?
Yeah.
So that maybe, just you got to make a little noise about, hey, we're trying to get Seager to motivate the Marte camp and not really not his camp as much in this case as the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, and it was reported by everyone in Boston, right? And so and rather quickly too. So I don't know if they threw it out there in their meeting with their executive or what, but the way it came down really quickly and then was confirmed or reported independently very quickly after the initial report, it's really like, okay, there might be something fishy going on here.
Yeah. Clearly there is. I like Kat's comment too. I think you do have bird rights on the deal. So that's mixing metaphors, right? That's mixing sports. But we've got bird rights on Jeff. So we can match anything anybody else offers on that deal too. So So it's the only substance, right, to anything like this would be, and I really think the only reason that Marcus Semien, became available, right? Whether there's conflicting reports about whether the Rangers initiated that or whether the Mets did. I think both sides might kind of claim the other side did, which makes sense. But it makes sense from a Rangers standpoint to initiate that, in the fact that he's just aging, right? And that maybe this downturn offensively that we've seen over 2 years is just the effects of time on a guy who plays every single day. And so you could apply similar logic, I suppose, if you're, and I know the Rangers aren't considering this, but you could apply similar logic to a guy who gets hurt every year, right? I mean, every single year that Corey Seager's been here, he's been hurt. Now, last year the least number of games he's played for the Rangers?
Yeah, and really his first year he wasn't the most. He got into the 140s that year, and then it's like 118 and 23, and they were spectacular 118 games. And then last year, he missed in 24. He missed the last month because of the hernia, but still was able to hit 30 home runs. So this year ended his streak of 30 home run seasons with the Rangers at 3. He missed the last month with the appendectomy, or the last 5 weeks. I doubt he was going to hit 10 home runs over that time. But the point is, you go look at the numbers, and they're still well above league average. And the Rangers don't have enough well above average offensive players.
No.
Honestly, John, the only way this would make sense is an absolute fire sale. But at that point, we'd be hearing about DeGrom being traded as well, and that's just not the case.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. And I love the fact that, CY is saying, look, we're competing for a World Series this year. And we're going to hear from one of our buddies who's now one of the national talkers about baseball a little later on in the program, who believes that, that the Rangers may be able to get right back into that mix as this, as they kind of, again, not rebuild, but reload or remake this roster to perhaps best fit the new manager in Skip Schumacher. So it's comforting to know. And in case people are a little late in joining, there's no chance at this point that the Rangers intend to trade Corey Seager, Jeff.
Correct. That is one of those things that happens at the winter meetings. And
right.
And now, as opposed to when it would happen 10 years ago or 15 years ago, it festers rather quickly and spreads like wildfire. And then you have to put it out.
Right.
And the Rangers
And
put it out today.
I was going to say, and then this morning when you got word that it was quashed this morning, and then like you say, after the Rule 5, you were able to talk to CY and Ross. But how did you? Did you get an email or a text, or did you chat with one of your sources? How did you?
Just talk. Well, first of all, I just supposed it was BS, and then
Of course.
just ran into somebody this morning, and they just were like, "Yeah, whatever, that ain't happening."
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Somebody
And
who would know.
Yes.
We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. So, well, that's great. That's good news. And it is, just to, clarify again, it's the process. Just like after the non-waiver trade deadline, right? At the end of July every year, virtually every single player on a team is exposed to waivers, right? And that's just part of the process. That happens.
Yeah.
And some years we hear, oh my gosh, the Rangers have exposed Corey Seager to waivers. Yes, they do that. That's what happens, right? Every year.
Yeah.
And nobody's going to claim him in that case. This is just part of it's procedural. And it's the same thing here, right? During this time of year, of course, you're going to check. Well, geez, the Rangers traded Marcus Semien. Let's check on everybody else. And that's probably what was happening.
Yeah. And those are revocable waivers. So,
they are.
If nobody's interested, boom, pull them back. It's like it never happened. And of course, the players are supposed to never know that it happened, but that's not the way it works out. And then you will see guys like 2 years ago when Grossman and Jankowski were put on revocable waivers, and Grossman ended up getting claimed by the Royals. So there's so many procedural things that happen, including teams calling about players. And yes, players who, they will shoot for the moon. I mean, players who they probably don't have a great chance of getting. And but considering, all the talk about the Rangers trying to save money this year and all of that, it kind of made sense for a team. Look, it may not have just been Boston, right? It could have been a couple other teams that were like, "Hey, what about Corey Seager?" And then we're quickly turned away. And I'm like, "Okay, thanks, thanks for answering my call." But it's. I'm sure the Rangers have asked about some guys too that you'd be like, "Oh, okay, whatever." That team's not trading that guy.
Yeah, like you're going to get Aaron Judge to be your right fielder. Yeah,
exactly.
Well, heck, they got Brandon Nimmo, and we'll hear a national pundit talking about that too a little later on in the program. Both those guys, by the way, are former players as well. So next up, we're going to talk about the Rule 5 draft, and let me just ask you this as a way of teasing the Rule 5 talk, Jeff. What kind of mood were Ross and CY in when you talked to them moments ago?
They were fine. They seemed tired and ready.
Not super happy, but
ready to go home. Yeah, I mean, there's a perception thing here too that we can dive into a little bit more later. But the winter meetings is not the end of the off season.
Right.
It's pretty much at the beginning of the calendar. It's not like the Daytona 500 is the Super Bowl NASCAR in the first race, but we still have a lot of off season to go. Okay. And I would say that we have until before the start of the season. If you just look at the past 2 seasons with the Texas Rangers and what they've done. So this roster is going to be changing. It may not happen at the pace everybody wants it to happen at, but there will be additions. There's plenty of time left in the offseason.
Yeah, and we've talked about it many times. A lot of things, in particular, with regard to restocking that bullpen, happen even as late as March, right? So we can definitely see some even late March some years. See Patrick Corbin, who ended up not being a bullpen guy but a starter last year, but he didn't sign until like March 21st last year. So anyway, there is a lot more to come, and there's a lot more to come on this program as well, including next we're going to talk about the Rule 5 draft. The Rangers passed in the first round, so how did they end up with somebody? We'll talk about it next. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. Hey, I had quite a year with roofs, to be honest with you. We had a hailstorm here in my home of Waxahachie, and I didn't yet know about Qualys Roofing, and it's too bad because I for sure would have gone with them if for no other reason than the free stuff they give you if you get your roof with them. Had to do one at the house, one at the business. Actually, there were about 3 roofs at the business, so about 4 in total. And I wonder if I would have gotten 4 Traeger grills for that. Who knows? But the Traeger smoker is available if you choose Qualys to do your roofing. And why wouldn't you? Qualys Roofing is so good. They're local. They're not one of these fly-by-night ambulance chaser types that are knocking on doors after a hailstorm. They're here and they're in Austin. You can trust them. They do great quality work. If you call them for a roof inspection, you get a DLLS t-shirt. And if you choose to use their services and get your roof from them, guess what? You get that free Traeger grill or the Blackstone Traeger smoker or the Blackstone grill. Also, want to tell you about our friends at Prize Pick. Today's show is brought to you in part by Prize Picks, and Prize Picks is such a simple game to play. Just pick more or less than 2 to 6 players in stat projections, and if you're right, you get paid. How easy is that? Prize Picks is one of the best ways to get into the action on sports and make them so much more interesting. Last weekend, I was playing the game, that wonderful game between the Bengals and the Bills. I had picks on Burrow and more or less than 2.5 touchdowns. I had picks on my favorite player right now, Josh Allen, more or less than 270 yards. I didn't end up winning because I had a few other things in there as well. But Prize Picks is so much fun. You need to be a part of Prize Picks, and you can go to Prize Picks and download the app at DLLS. You get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. I know Jeff's probably. Can you play there? You allowed to play Prize Picks? Yeah.
I think you can do anything in Florida.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, that's bad. Yeah. Don't, though. Will you do me a favor? Don't. I've saved you from being traded. I don't want you to end up in the clink there, right? Florida jail.
I'm not Florida man. I'm still got my wits about me.
I don't want you to be in jail down there in Florida. So, all right. So the Rule 5 draft happened. Rangers pass in the first round, but they end up with a right-handed pitcher. Now, because of the trade, Jeff, do they have to keep him on their active roster? They traded with the Pittsburgh Pirates, who selected him from the Baltimore Orioles. And now, do the Rangers have to keep him on the 40-man, or rather the active roster, the 26-man roster?
Yeah, yes, they do. Like if a Rule 5 guy gets DFA'd and then claimed, he's still under the Rule 5 rules. So Carter Baumler is the guy who they liked. Considering where they were drafting and where the Pirates were drafting, they arranged a trade beforehand to make the deal. It was for Yaiker Garcia, Jaiker Garcia, who was a former shortstop who has transitioned to pitcher, and he's pitched briefly in the U.S. in the Arizona Complex League. So, not a big deal here. And then, even if the Rangers had been able to, felt comfortable that Baumler would get to them at their spot, it's just $100,000 acquisition, And so, but then the tricky part becomes keeping him on the roster for the whole year. And you kind of look at his numbers, and he's barely pitched at Double-A,
Right.
And he only has, I think, 88 career innings because of some injuries that he's dealt with in the past. But they like the way the stuff jumped up last year. His fastball tops out at 98. Good off-speed pitches, and so I think, hey, maybe he's got a chance to stick. We'll see. The process is that if he doesn't make the roster, or you want to move him out, you have to expose him to waivers. Then all 30 teams get the opportunity to claim him. If he isn't claimed, then you have to offer him back to the team from which he came. So in this case, it would be the Orioles. Even though it was the trade of the Pirates, he was on the Orioles roster. So if the Orioles want him back, they just say, all right, give him to me. And I think there's $50,000 involved, something like that. And if the Orioles say, nah, let's work out a trade, then they can go that route too.
Meaning, if they did it that way, he would stay here, right? The
Yes.
Rangers
Yeah.
could
And then
offer.
at that point, once the other team refuses him or decides to trade him, then he goes back into the normal structure and can be optioned and all that stuff. Yeah.
Again, he's a big, powerful guy. He, like Jeff said, throws 98. He's a former football player. He was a 5th-round pick in 2020, Jeff, but he got a way above slot $1.5 million signing bonus.
Yeah.
So the Orioles thought pretty highly of him, despite the fact that they didn't select him until the 5th round that year.
Yeah, and that was the wonky COVID draft that got cut from
true.
40 rounds to 5 rounds.
Yeah.
And so teams might have had a little extra money to play with there, and then obviously 5 for a 5th rounder is pretty good money. I guess he had a little leverage with college and maybe the football aspect of it all, but out of Iowa, so hey, that's cool if you like Iowa. Hey, there's a joke that my friend from Minnesota used to tell though. Why do all the trees in Minnesota point to the south?
I don't know.
Because Iowa sucks. So that was what my friends in Minnesota used to say. I guess
humor for you.
Iowans might say it the other way. Why do all the trees point north? Because Minnesota sucks. So anyway, but he seems like a guy you're going to take a chance on. That's what you're doing here. You're not getting a sure thing at all. So yeah, he may make it. He may not. He may be Brett DeGus. I don't think he'll be Johan Santana, but you never know.
Yeah, and then on the other side of the Rule 5 draft, the Rangers didn't lose anybody. So
not in the major league portion, which is good. I think there was a little concern that maybe Cam Cauley might get plucked, but he didn't. The Rangers lost a couple of pitchers, Jackson Kelly and Kyle Larson. In the minor league phase, they got a guy named Jonathan Brand, a right-hander from the Red Sox. So it's just business. Bless you.
Thank you.
And and that was the last act of these winter meetings.
Oh, it was. Are they officially done?
Well, yeah. The Rangers are flying home tonight, and then we're staying until tomorrow morning so we could knock out the show and everything like that. But yeah, they are. The person who gave me the intel, I won't name his name, that the Rangers were going to stay until Thursday, did me dirty. Did DLLS dirty. We're just going to leave it at that. So anyway, so I'll finish up here and write my story and probably have a pretty paltry meal and then get up early and fly standby and be in the studio tomorrow.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so we're adjusting on the fly here. That's good. That's easy, and it's nice to know. So the minor league Rule 5 portion.
Mm-hmm.
Are they the same? What are the stipulations there?
Yeah, I don't think there are any.
I
don't think you have to keep them on the AAA roster or anything like that.
Yeah,
and every once in a while you find a steal there. The Rangers got Alexio Gondo in that portion of the draft, and then it took several years as he dealt with the
visa stuff, right?
Yeah, I don't know if it was the FBI who did it or Homeland Security, but he had some trouble there with allegedly. I think he allegedly married a woman to get her into the United States, and it was a human trafficking situation. But I think he was just young and dumb and wanted to get somewhere. And if he did it at all, I don't want to get sued by anybody. So
right. And was he still an outfielder when they drafted him?
I think he had just converted.
Just converted to pitching.
Yeah.
It turned out well for the Rangers there. Yeah, for a while there, obviously. Yeah,
absolutely.
So, and there were lots of teams active in the Rule 5 draft. And I don't know if there's probably a study of this somewhere, Jeff, but it seemed like, the Yankees grabbing people. Everybody seemed – so it's a bold move. I mean, again, like you say, it doesn't cost much if you have to give them back.
Yeah.
But it's a pretty bold move to go ahead and take a guy knowing, if we're going to keep him, we got to keep him on the active roster.
Yeah, some good teams were taken. It wasn't just teams that are on a budget or who are rebuilding. I mean, I think the Braves made a pick. So there's, scouts see something, and it's worth the risk because the cost is so minimal. I mean, it's $100,000, or in this case, it's Hiker Garcia. It's nothing. And
no matter what happens, with Carter, Hiker Garcia is gone, right? Whether Carter goes back to Baltimore or whether somebody else claims him, Hiker Garcia is gone. But I doubt that there are many of our fans who will miss Hiker. You mentioned the Braves, and we'll go back to the top story, which is that Corey Seager is not going to be traded to the Red Sox or anybody else. But the other team that we keep hearing, traction about, Jeff, is the Braves because they have, they're flush with cash and they have a need and all that. I wonder if the Rangers, just underachieve again, right, for the first half of the season. Corey Seager's a 10-5 guy after this year. So, right, at the deadline, and again, when you said the Braves, it just brought my mind back to Seager because he's been associated with there. Nothing to do with the Braves. But at the deadline, do you now say, okay, this is another year where we're underachieving? Maybe we trade Corey Seager at the deadline.
Maybe,
because it's the last time you could, right? Before he becomes a 10-5.
Well, he'd have to give his permission. Yeah, without his permission. But I think, if you want to bring the Braves into the discussion, I mean, like the Red Sox have the great young talent and they have some starting pitching available. The Braves have a catcher, Sean Murphy, who he's a little bit older, but he makes a lot of money. And the Rangers need a catcher, right?
Yep.
I mean, I don't want to suggest Corey Seager for Sean Murphy, but
no, please no.
Sean Murphy would be in a package. Let's say. I don't think they're going to get rid of Drake Baldwin, though. Hey, that'd be pretty sweet for the Rangers.
Yeah.
There are guys that you've heard of. There are guys who you haven't heard of, and the Rangers are going to get a catcher, and the guy is going to be better than Jonah Heim was last year. All right. You look at, this is brought up to me today. You look at projected WAR for the free agent catcher class, and there's 9 guys who had to have a higher projected WAR than Jonah Heim. So the Rangers are going to upgrade there, and that's just the free agents. We haven't even looked at trade candidates. So there are guys that are going to be better than Jonah Heim who the Rangers are going to acquire. And again, just because it didn't happen over these last 3 days doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. Okay, there's a lot of offseason to go. And,
wait, you said the winter meetings are over. Yeah, right.
Yeah, I know it.
The off-season just beginning, or only, I say that, it's halfway over. I think we determined earlier in the week. So, okay, so those are all good things. In fact, regarding catcher, Jeff was out doing some work this morning, and he was trying to recruit one. So coming up next on the program, we'll look at Jeff's active recruitment of a catcher for the Rangers next year. We'll see how that panned out, and we'll also get into other topics happening around this great game of baseball next. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. Hey, and the Supporters Club, I have got to tell you good news, and that is that the skipper is out there. He has already, I think he's already finished, Jeff, a behind-the-scenes look at everything that has been happening at the winter meetings so far this week, which, again, we thought there might be one more day of content, but Skipper now realizing this is the last day, he's putting the finishing touches on that thing. And it's going to be available Friday. And it is true sicko level stuff. It really is. So we want you to go ahead and sign up to be a supporter. And Kat, can you put in the chat or somewhere who was it again that signed up today? Harry? I think Harry signed up to become a supporter. It was Harry. Harry, thank you for signing up.
Attaboy, Harry.
Yeah, just before the show began today. And so good for him. Good for you if you do it too. $5 or $15. And Friday's the day. By Friday, you want to be a supporter. There it is, Harry. Thank you very much for becoming a YouTube member, which is to say a supporter through the Supporters Club. So anyway, do it by Friday so you can catch all the behind-the-scenes action from there in Orlando.
Hey, Harry, while you're signing up for stuff, this one won't cost anything. It's the newsletter that Ali does. Go to our our homepage on the World Wide Web, alldls.com. Go to the very bottom, and there's a blank space there. It says, "Hey, get your newsletter. Put in your email address. Hit submit. Boom. That's it. Ball game's over." And you will get from Ali in your inbox multiple times a week vignettes to help you catch up on the latest news involving the teams that we cover, sometimes the teams we don't cover, and then links to the stories we've written. So it's just a good way to stay up to date in case you missed the games the night before, or you weren't able to see any of our podcasts that air 5 days a week. We got you covered. So go ahead and sign up for the newsletter again at our homepage, alldls.com. Just put in your email address. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, and great news happening during that ad read as both Leon and T.O. gifted 5 of the memberships out there. So the point on that
it's
is
like the second time this week.
It
Or they
is.
did
So
it
there's
last week
10,
too. Yeah.
10 new people getting their membership today. Thanks to T.O., thanks to Leon, which is I Love Misty. And we really appreciate when you guys do that. And as I mentioned the other day, T.O. was telling me when we saw him at Wild Fork the other day that, in fact, he has to, he does it, but he doesn't get to choose who it goes to. So it goes randomly. And so somebody random got that today, and good for them. And 10 people got it randomly today. I wonder if it was our buddy Mike Bassick who's been texting me, and he tells me he's enjoying the show today, Jeff. So it's great to have Mike watching along with all of you in the chat today, and so hopefully he's going to be one of the ones that randomly gets gifted one of those support. He's probably in the Supporters Club, and then again maybe ineligible because he works. He gets paid by us now. He's a teammate, Jeff. So
Wow.
He's more than
making
just
the
our
big
buddy.
bucks.
When you
right.
were gone, we had to go to the bullpen, and Mike's he's a great guy out of. He's a left. You got to go to the lefty out of the bullpen.
Yeah, we needed somebody to mop up, so we got Mike in there.
Oh yeah, Mike's going to have some comments about that. There's no doubt. Okay, all right. So let's get to Jeff's recruitment because there was an opportunity today to go on out there and find a catcher, and a guy who's caught in a World Series, a guy who's had a great career, seems like a great option. So Jeff found a guy just like that today at the winter meetings. Let's see how it went.
So catching pretty well, and the Rangers need a catcher after they non-tendered Joe.
I haven't retired, by the way. I'm just saying.
Okay.
No, hell no.
What do you think? I think a trade. Who would be a good trade target for these guys?
I mean, can you go get Sean Murphy from the Braves?
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense, right?
Yeah, but I mean, you have Higgy, who's a great guy, but he's not a catch 120 games a year guy. He's never been that in his career. So, I mean, does Murphy make sense? Yes. Will they go out if they don't have any money? Though they're going to have to, somehow get away for the Braves to eat some of the contracts. So, he's really the one guy. Do you go sign a Real Muto for short term, 1 year, 2 year, short term high AV? I don't know. I just don't know who's out there because there's such a limited amount of catchers, right? I thought Harry Ford, the guy from Seattle that just got traded to the Nationals, he would have been nice, right? Sure. Young guy to pair with Higashioka and kind of have a duo that Higgy can teach him and then he learns on the fly. So I just don't know who's out there because Caber Ruiz maybe from the Nationals because they just got Ford. There's another one. He's under contract, but then you talk to some people and they say that his metrics are below average defensively. So it all depends on what you're.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing because, and we've talked about it many times, Jeff, and great to see AJ, I'm sure, and fun to see him. I wonder, the foul territory guys all seem to wear their hats backwards. Maybe you got to start. Yeah, maybe you got to start going like
I
that.
look like
That's
an idiot.
Fantastic look. Yeah. Yeah. So, but anyway, yeah. So, I liked his response. First of all, I didn't know he wasn't retired officially. But secondly, it's amazing how quickly these guys realize once they stop playing. Like it's within months. Could you get back out there and get hell no?
No,
Every time.
no.
Yeah, it's just
No, AJ's from this area. He lives in this area. When he's not doing his show, he likes to play a lot of golf. So
Yeah.
it's a pretty good place for him to do that. So it's it's pretty funny. I remember when the Rangers got him. He came in with the reputation as a player being a jerk and guy gets under people's skin and all that stuff. And we loved him.
I
And
did.
we
I really
made
did.
it. We made him the good guy award winner in 2013
Yeah.
for his 1
Yeah.
year. He talked to us whenever we needed something.
Yeah.
And couldn't have been nicer. And yeah, he didn't sugarcoat things. And he and Yu Darvish butted heads because he didn't like that Yu Darvish wouldn't throw more fastballs.
Mm-hmm.
But now, this last season they were interacting with each other on Twitter and all that stuff. So let bygones be bygones, I guess. But AJ's a good guy. He can talk. He can talk.
He can. Yeah. And to me, again, I used to, especially guys later in their career, when we had them, like we did AJ, I'd always look at guys and think, yeah, he's got analyst in some role written all over him. And AJ's already done a lot of that and does a good job at it too. Another guy who is like that and was as a player is Harold Reynolds, who weighed in on the big blockbuster move that the Rangers have made. This isn't a Corey Seager trade Harold's talking about. It's the Marcus Semien trade.
Nemo's going to be great in Texas. I think you need that left-handed power bat. He's going to range in the outfield. He's got a lot of years left in him. And Marcus Semien, I think sometimes you need just a change of scenery. The Mets clearly needed a second baseman. And so when you trade two veteran guys with their pedigree and with their history, I'm looking for it to work out pretty good.
Yeah, I think so too. Hopefully it'll be a win-win for both teams. We really love Marcus and hope that it's not just father time that's having its effects on him, but obviously hoping that Nimmo is everything the Rangers hope he will be here. And Harold's been on MLB Network and stuff for a long time, but he's another one who, when he was a player, I go back that far, you could tell he had something, and he does a great job on TV too.
Yeah, and Harold's just a good guy. There was
He really is.
in the 2007 All-Star games. The Fort Worth paper sent their beat writer, David Sessions, who I'm sure you remember,
Sure.
John, and David has a medical condition with seizures, and during one of the press conferences out there, he had a seizure, and Harold Reynolds is the guy who stayed with him and called for help and all this stuff. And here's another Harold story that involves me. I was probably early teenager, and we had gone to spring training like we did every year, and he was with the Mariners. And back then, when the visiting team showed up to a ballpark, you could ask if they needed a bat boy. And so sure, let's give it a shot. So I asked, and I was the bat boy for them at a game against the Cubs at Hohokam Park. And after the game, I'm, I don't know what I'm doing, helping out with stuff, whatever I'm doing. He comes up and he goes, "Hey, can you do me a favor? Can you go to the concession stand, get me a hot dog and a hamburger?" And he gave me a 5 or 10. And he goes, "And you can keep the change." I was like, "Hey, this is great." So I went over there. They were out of one of them, so I came back with only half the order, but I was able to keep the change. So
Nice.
I told Harold that story a number of years ago, and he was like, "Are you kidding me?" I was like, "No, that happened."
That's so great.
Yeah.
That is so cool. And I'm glad you didn't get in trouble too, right? You're a volunteer bat boy, for God's sake. So
That's right. I mean, I got paid probably like $5 for all my work.
Yeah, bold, bold. Yeah, well, yeah, but nice tip. Yeah, nice tip too.
Yeah, I'll take it. Yeah.
Bold move by the young Jeff Wilson, but that doesn't surprise us. All right, and then one last thing with AJ, who really does believe in the process that the Rangers are going through. Again, not rebuilding, just retooling.
Every team says they don't have money, right? I mean, they all say we don't have. I mean, the only team that says they have money is the Dodgers because they do have money and they spend it and then they win. So, listen, here's the thing about the Rangers. They just made the trade for Nimmo, basically Simeon for Nimmo, money swap. It helps them in the outfield, put Langford in center field. They still kind of need a right fielder, or they bring back Adolis or whatever they figure out. But anytime you start a team with DeGrom and Eovaldi, that's a good start to a team, right? And then you throw in the infield with Seager, and you still have, if Young comes back and has a good year, Higashioka I love, right? Langford's going to be a stud for him. They still got to figure out a couple little things here and there, but they have a good nucleus to start. And I love Skip Schumacher. He's going to do things the right way, and he's been around. And so Chris Young I love. So I think they're going to – everyone's like, oh, they're going to be terrible. I don't think so. I think they're going to be highly competitive and have a chance.
And again – he's got no sort of dog in the hunt, right? He's got no reason to say that other than that is what he believes.
Well, I mean, honestly, he probably has a little animosity because the Rangers didn't re-sign him in 14 and he wanted to come back. Anyway, he sees the ball pretty clearly, and it's nice to see, like you said, guys who don't have a dog in the hunt make, lucid observations about the team at a time when that doesn't always exist. When tempers run high, when moves don't get made, or when another team does something, or you hear, oh, they don't have any money, they're going to be terrible this year. It's not just us. We provide lucid commentary, believe it or not. But when somebody else from outside the organization or with no ties kind of validates it, it's a nice feeling, and it should give some fans some comfort.
Yeah, no doubt it should, and I hope it does. And Harold Reynolds also. Were you a part of the Harold interview, or did the skipper just handle that?
No, that was just the skipper. The skipper,
all right,
the skipper worked hard while he was here.
Yeah, and it's out on our socials. But one of the things Harold said too was sort of praising the hire of Skip Schumacher, and I do think that we sometimes almost have to remind ourselves, Jeff, that, and I see it on on the Twitter all the time right now about the Rangers aren't doing much at these winter meetings. We mentioned it earlier in the week. They had a blockbuster trade already. Oh, and by the way, they replaced a Hall of Fame manager with a guy who everybody believes is the managerial candidate of the season, of the offseason, right? Like he was the most sought after. And because of the way, Chris Young put this into place, hiring him last year as a special assistant, they got him.
Yeah. And everybody I ran into this 3 days was like, oh, you're going to love Skip. Skip is great. Skip is fantastic. Skip this, skip that. He's so smart. He gets it, all this stuff. So, that's always good to hear. We had every year the writers get to have breakfast with their manager, and so we sat down and broke bread with Skip today, the small group of writers that we were. And it was a good time. We talked a little bit about baseball, but most of it was talking about his kids, trying to get to know him a little bit better, and what his schedule is going to look like here the next couple months. Basically, I think he said that after the holidays, it's go time. So he's going to be in and out of town. He's going to be in town next week for an event, and they're going to have a coaching summit and some things like that. Fan Fest, of course. And so then they're going to roll right into spring training, and still don't have a date yet. But like we've been saying, John, it's going to be, you can subtract 45 from opening day, and you can kind of get a real good idea of when it's going to be. So it's going to be somewhere in that 9th or 10th range. The WBCs, if anybody ends up in the WBC, they have to report a little bit earlier. But so from January 1 to whenever the Rangers go to spring training, you're going to be Skip is going to be busy, and hopefully have some news for us along the way.
Yeah, it's always fun. It helps the show, and it helps us. So we will definitely root for that. Mike Bassick texts back, by the way, Jeff, that the game was already decided when we went to the bullpen. So I don't know if that's true. I don't know. We know every day is a new game, and so I don't believe it was decided. But maybe it was. Maybe it was mop-up duty. In any event, glad to have him along. Glad to have you along. Our cleanup segment comes next, and there is a lot to talk about, including, before we talk about the cleanup things, becoming a diehard. Brilliant thing to do, because there is so much coming in the coming month. Jeff just ran over all the different things that are going to happen, basically between now and the beginning of spring training. And there is a lot that's going to happen, a lot that's going to be written about. Jeff's still got things to write about regarding the winter meetings and what has happened there. He's been writing the whole week, and I hope that you've been able to, have access to that content. But it's a really easy thing to do. If you don't, just pay $79.99 at store. That's the merchandise at alldlls.com/join, or just scan that QR code and become a diehard. And you'll also get 20% off all of the merchandise that we have, and 25% off the events that we have, like that wonderfully successful Stars takeover that many of our Stars faithful were a part of. T.O., I know, was one of them, and the Stars came through in a big way for our takeover that night, and they got a great win, and it was very exciting, and the American Airlines Center went nuts, and all of our diehards were there, and really, if you weren't a diehard, you didn't have a chance to buy one of those tickets. So you need to be a diehard to get all that stuff taken care of. The only thing I'm sad about not being in studio all week, Jeff, is there was a whole bunch of Hooters food left over from that event. Yeah, and we didn't get to eat any of it. I gotta believe it's probably bad by now. But anyway, become a diehard and frequent Hooters. What the heck?
Yeah, and if you want a sweet DLS sweatshirt like this one, or one of the hats that were kind of leading off the show today, there you go. There are new styles. Store.allcitynetwork.com. It's the place for all of our merch. And now that we're up to 5 hats, which is awesome. We have a ton of shirts, like 50 something shirts. We have 4 different kinds of sweatshirts and different colors too. So look, if you want to support us, because we're pretty awesome. And if you want to a unique way to show your fandom, people will be talking about your shirts, asking you where you got them. The place to do it is store.allcitynetwork.com. You missed our sale. That's all right. Our prices are still cheap. The quality is still good. And man, if we ever spot you wearing one, there's a secret handshake and a hug in it for you.
Yeah, I promise you, we got a bro hug and a high five. There's no doubt. All right, so I'm so happy for Pete Alonso. I went off on a diatribe, within the last week, just about feeling bad for the guy. And now it's hard to feel. First of all, it's hard to feel bad for him with the contract he did have, but now it's almost impossible. He signs with the Orioles, Jeff, 5 for $155. He gets more money than even Kyle Schwarber got, and he leaves the Mets. Which is significant because, he's only been with the Mets thus far. He's another one, a little bit like Brandon Nimmo. But there's conflicting reports out there, but there are reports that the Mets didn't even offer because they saw that the money was getting higher. The offers were getting higher than the money that they were comfortable with, which, again, with the Mets, you're kind of like, what aren't you comfortable with? But I guess everybody's got a bit of a budget. But like AJ said, nobody's got money except the Dodgers. But the Mets do, and for whatever reason, they were ready to let Pete Alonso go. But I felt like it was weird that he didn't get more traction last year. In his first year of free agency, he ended up re-signing with the Mets, and then this year, he bet on himself, is what he did there, Jeff, and it paid off handsomely because he had a great year. He basically had a career year, and boom, it paid off, financially for him too.
Yeah, he didn't have a great 24.
Right.
And maybe that was it. And he's not a young man. He's not old by any stretch. He's probably not the best first baseman in the world, okay,
Right.
but you don't really have to be if you can hit that many home runs. He's going to hit a ton of home runs in Baltimore.
Oh,
There's
my
just
God.
there's no way around it, and it seems like a really good fit there. But yeah, you're right. He bet on himself. He had the qualifying offer last year. Um, he wasn't. You can't be extended that twice in your career, so that's another thing that really helped his case. It was that he didn't have the qualifying offer attached to him, so teams didn't have to worry about surrendering, draft picks or whatever to get him, and so that gives them a little extra money to throw his way. And yeah, it's pretty funny that the Schwarber highest paid DH thing only lasted like a day,
Yeah. Yeah.
But Alonso will probably play a lot of first base there, but
Sure.
just he was right before COVID. He came to an event, a Tops event at AT&T Stadium, and just a great guy. Yeah, I just really enjoyed him. And the year that the Braves, the year after they won the World Series, they were at the All-Star game. They were the coaching staff, and Wash was working with Pete Alonso. Wash was with the Braves at the time, and like the Braves teamers were just burying him for like showing Pete Alonso how to play first base. But somebody who had he obviously wants to be better. And if you're going to ask the infield guru, your main rival, to teach you how to play first base. Of course, Wash will coach anybody. You know what?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. If somebody in the chat says, "Hey, Wash, can you show me how to play shortstop?" He'd be like, "He's damn right I can." So
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah. I'll make you a good one.
I'm glad for Pete Alonso. That's good.
Yeah, I really am too. I'm very happy about that. There's lots of smoke about a possible trade of Skubal. We've talked about it a lot. Tarek Skubal of the Tigers. He's got 1 year left, and then he becomes a free agent. The Tigers basically feel like they're not going to be interested in signing him to a long-term deal. So try to get what they can for him. And there's been a lot of chatter that, in fact, they're working out the final details with the Dodgers. The package is complete, but they're just trying to work out the extension. And again, Boris is Skubal's agent, but that they're trying to work out the extension there. And then there are some reports out of Detroit, Jeff, that say lots of smoke, but absolutely no fire. This isn't going to happen. Those kinds of things happen. That's a little, I suppose, a little bit like the Corey Seager thing. Like those things pop up this time of year. I don't know. Have you heard anything there on ground zero about that?
No, I talked to one of the Tigers beat writers the other day, and he seemed to think that the Tigers are going to hold on to him, because trading Tarek Skubal takes some balls, and you can, he's great, and he can help you get to the postseason again, and all of that. But at the same time, if you know you're not going to re-sign him, this could be a Herschel Walker type of deal.
Yeah,
It really could be. And I don't know what's going to happen, honestly. But if this guy says he doesn't think the Tigers are going to trade him, I'm going to go with that until it does. But yeah, I mean, you're if you're trading Tarek Skubal, you're going to have a lot of explaining to do to your fan base.
big time.
And then you're going to have to, hopefully you get something back that'll help you in your quest to win a division that they really should have won last year and
Yes.
let slip away there at the end,
Yeah.
but still made the playoffs. So, yeah, I don't know. I just the Dodgers just seem to have the ultimate power now, and
Unbelievable.
anybody that they want to get, they're going to get.
Yeah, and that is the one thing, and I'm not a fan of a salary cap, and I don't believe that the Dodgers are necessarily ruining baseball because any team can do this, but the reality is the other teams aren't, and it is pretty annoying, and I can't imagine how annoying it would be for the Pittsburghs and the Kansas Cities and the Milwaukees of the world who just aren't going there. and because of their small market nature and because of their owners and so forth, it's got to be so frustrating to realize that, we got no shot at Skubal or any of these other guys, right? They're all going to the Dodgers. Even the Mets lost Edwin Diaz to the Dodgers for $1 million a year. The Mets reportedly offered 66. They took the deal for 69. So pretty amazing.
Yeah, rough 48 hours for the Mets there. 24 hours, really. Shoot. I just, you still have to win, and they barely did. The Dodgers, should have lost Game 7, but they found the World Series, but they ended up finding a way to do it. Okay, and they're going to be the team that you're going to have to beat. But they, everybody thought, oh, well, they're going to win 190 games this year, and they didn't. They struggled a little bit, So you still have to play. Their pitchers always get hurt, so it seems like, man, they can do whatever they want. They don't care about money, any of that, and look. They're probably going to get Paul Skeens in a few years. All right, let's just go ahead and put it out there because you mentioned the Pirates, and the Pirates are going to have to trade Paul Skeens at some point unless they can, rub a lot of nickels together and come up with the money that it's going to take to keep him. But unless something happens with the labor situation, that's the only thing that's standing in the Dodgers' way, and unfortunately it would be standing in the other 29 teams' way too, because if the owners are serious about this salary cap, we might be looking at a really long lockout, but hopefully they can find a way to
avoid that,
a minimum floor payroll, and stop with the deferrals to a certain degree, and all of that, and I mean, really make the luxury tax an incredibly severe penalty. I mean, but I don't know. Shit, how many owners are going to go for that?
Yeah, I don't know that it would bother the Dodgers either. That's the problem there. And by the way, you mentioned the Braves. I want to remind you, they made a serious offer for Kyle Schwarber. They made a 4-year offer. Right? You keep it's like, come on, Pirates. We made this. And it's like big news. Pirates are in on Kyle Schwarber. Are they really? Are they really? So, and final thing, we saw the draft lottery yesterday. The number 1 pick goes to the Chicago White Sox, which seems fair. They were a terrible team. The Rangers fall from 14 to 16. The White Sox get the number 1 pick for the first time in a long time. Jeff, do you know who the player they took the last time they had the number 1 pick?
How about Harold Baines?
I'll give you a hint. Oh, I was going to give you a hint. You got it. I was going to give you the former Ranger hint. Former Ranger, Harold Baines. 1977 is the last time they had the number 1 pick. So,
wow.
Turned into Harold Baines.
That's pretty good. He was actually, that was a educated guess. He was their representative yesterday at the draft.
Okay.
And he said that when he was drafted in 1977, that he didn't have an agent. And so the Tigers called him and said, "Hey, we took you first. Who's your representative?" And he's like, "Well, I don't have one." And they're like, "Well, you might want to get one." So apparently they just went into the yellow pages and found a lawyer and called him. Wow. And like that guy became negotiated the deal or made sure that that Harold wasn't getting fleeced or something. Wow. So that tells you how things have changed.
Yeah, little ham and egg lawyer out there, little gumshoe guy. That's why you answer the phone. Fantastic.
That's really funny.
Well, great work at the winter meetings, Jeff. We'll be glad to have you back in studio tomorrow. And don't forget all of our Supporters Club people. There's going to be a nice video out there beginning Friday of all the behind the scenes stuff that happened at those winter meetings. So that's going to do it for us for today's edition of the show. We thank you for hanging out with us, and we'll be back in studio and back at 1:00 each of the next 2 days with another edition of the DLLS Rangers podcast.
We all